and how successfully she became the center of mine. We used to take our kids to the only playground within walking distance. It was part of a schoolyard that marked the border between our neighborhood and the next. The pavement shimmered with broken glass. The kids were wild and unattended. We pushed R2 on the swings and kept each other company. She said she would be so mad if Danny got AIDS, and I thought about her choice of words. So mad. Struck by the understatement. I learned about sex from her the way girls learn about sex from each other. In this case, the information came not in whispered conversations behind a hedge, but more directly and personally than anything I might have imagined at the age of 12. In those days, the hedge was high and green and the soil below it dark, a setting at once private, natural, and fenced off. This time, everything was in the open. I was the audience, the friend with stroller, the mild-mannered, wide-eyed listener who learned that breastfeeding brought her to the point of orgasm, that childbirth had made her vagina sloppy and loose, that anal sex hurt so much she would sit on the toilet afterwards, bracing herself against the stabs of pain. We were in the playground, that sour, overused, wrongly used, hardly playful patch of pavement, and she said she was sore and told me why. When I protested on her behalf, she said, "But I might have wanted it. I don't know. I think I did want it in some way." I can't remember her hands, not here in this small, cool room in another country and several years after the fact. I remember watching her do many things with her hands, yet I can't remember what they looked like. They must have been long, slender, pale, and less tanned. But they don't come to mind the way a man's might, and I suppose that's because she didn't touch me. Or is it because I became so adept at holding her at bay? I remember her lips, those dry, thin Rock Hudson lips. One evening, we stood on the corner and she smiled her fleeting, meaningful smiles, looking at me with what she called her northern eyes. They were blue and she cried easily, while her heartbreak of a husband put his arm around her. What will become of her, I wondered, even after I found out. She was standing next to the stove, and I saw her go up in flames. The open gas jets, the tininess of the room, the proximity of the children, standing on chairs by the stove, and her hair. It slid down her front and fell down her back. She was making pancakes that were obviously raw. She knew they were raw, predicted they would be, yet did nothing about it. Nor did I. I just poured on lots of syrup and said they were good. I saw her go up in flames, or did I wish it? In the beginning, we saw each other almost every day and couldn't believe how much the friendship had improved our lives. A close, easy intensity which lasted in that phase of its life for several months. My husband talked of moving. An apartment had come open in a building where we had friends, but I couldn't imagine moving away from Maureen. It was a throwback to girlhood, the sort of miracle that occurs when you find a friend with whom you can talk about everything. Maureen had grown up rich and poor. Her family was poor, but she was gifted enough to receive scholarships to private schools. It was the private school look she had fixed on me the first time we met, and the poor background she offered later. As a child, she received nothing but praise, she said, from parents astonished by their good fortune. They had produced a beautiful and brilliant daughter, while everything else went wrong: car accidents, sudden deaths, mental illness. Danny's private school adjoined hers. They met when they were 12, and he never tried to hide his various obsessions. She could never say that she had never known. In the spring, her mother came to visit. The street was torn up for repairs, the weather prematurely hot, the air thick.